Hi everyone and welcome back to another Mixed Media Tuesday. Today I'm going to make an art journal showing you how to do the wax resist technique. I did this project as a short video and I got lots of questions about it, so today I'm going to do a full tutorial. And you can see here all the various sizes of my mixed media journal. This has nice thick pages inside. I like to use the small one, this is the pocket one, for my mini journals, and I have been using for a while now in my long YouTube videos the 6x6 one. So for today I decided to go with the long one. Now you can either work on one page like I do for the short videos, but you can definitely work on 2 pages. That's what I'm going to do today. Now, if you open up the pages, you will find that you get about 8 by 8 inches in size for both pages, which is slightly larger than the square journal, which is 6 by 6. Now, the wax technique that I'm going to show you today is going to give you that peeled paint background, as you can see in this project here. So let's start with the first step. I need to apply the first layer of color, and for that I will be using acrylic paints. I do have the set here. This is the Patina set by Stamperia, but really whatever color you want the peel paint to be behind, that's the color that you want to start with. So here I'm going with copper, nice and shiny. Just cover up the whole thing without thinking and dry the first layer. For the second step, I'm going to do some stamping. For that, it is really important to do the stamping by using permanent ink, because we are going to do lots of techniques on top and you don't want that to smudge or smear. So completely randomly, I'm going to do stamping all over the place. Remember, this doesn't really matter if it is perfect or not. Lots of things that we do now are not going to show at all. However, what I want to do is when I peel off some of the top layer and get that copper revealed, I want to have stamping there as well. You need to pick the colors for the top layer. This is going to be the actual color of your page. So for this page I decided to go with ivory and those pale colors of patina, and before I apply those I need to do the waxing. So I have here beeswax in a jar and a brush that is dedicated only for the wax. I don't use this brush for anything else. I'm going to make sure that I have enough wax on my brush, and then randomly I'm going to apply that wax in different areas of the project. Instead of wax, if you don't have beeswax, you can definitely use microglaze by Ranger if you do have that, or you can use Vaseline if you have that. All of these products actually resist the acrylic paint that you are going to apply on top. So it makes it really easy to peel off paint from those areas. So here I'm going to apply some ivory acrylic paint. With a very soft brush I'm going to apply it over, making sure that I don't disturb the waxing that I did underneath. I don't want to move it around. That's why it is really important for this step to use a very soft brush. I'm going to cover everything, but really it doesn't really matter. If you want to have some areas showing through, it's just up to you. And I am also going to throw in the mix one more color so that my background looks more interesting and it's not completely flat ivory. And before we move on to the next step, you need to use your heat gun or let it dry on its own. Really important, so that we can just grab now a baby wipe and rub off any excess of that paint that didn't stick. You will find that that paint didn't stick where you have applied the wax. So I'm just patiently going to go up and down, and I do that because that's the way that I want my peeled paint to look. You can go any direction that you like, it's just a personal preference. Once I'm happy with how much of that paint has peeled off, I'm going to use a clean baby wipe just to make sure that all those areas look nice and shiny. Remember, I do have shiny copper underneath. And now the fun part is that if you look really closely, you will see the stamping only on the peeled areas, which is really cool as an effect. Now, of course, keep in mind that you can do this technique with any color combination that you like, so just be creative. Now, at this stage, you have a lovely background to start working on your project, whatever that may be. So I'm going to start by doing some stamping. I'm using one of my older stamp sets by Team Holtz for today's project. And with my black permanent ink, I'm going to stamp randomly. And if you are a beginner in art journaling, I do have a 7 steps method. Lots of videos about that you can follow if you want to start out. But for today, I'm not using any methods. I'm just going randomly playing with my supplies and just having fun. So sometimes I do get questions, why did you do this or why did you do that? I don't always have the answer. Many times I just do things because it looks fun at that point. And I go by the flow. So that's exactly what I'm doing on today's project. At this stage, I have no idea what the focal point is going to be or what I'm going to stick on top. I'm just having fun layer after layer. So I did some stamping underneath before doing the waxing technique, but you see I do stamping on top of it. It doesn't really matter. I'm just having fun at this stage with my stamps. And you can see I'm making sure that some areas are darker while other areas are lighter so that I don't overwhelm the background with too much stamping. And I switch from larger text stamps to smaller ones to even circle ones to make it look more interesting. Now I want to darken up the edges a little bit more, so I'm going to grab my dye ink and I'm going to ink up the edges, just creating a little bit of a black frame all around. I feel like it always kind of grounds the project, it kind of frames it and makes it look more finished. And I'm going to explain here my thinking process a little bit. So I have those big numbers on one side of the page and I felt that it wasn't balanced. That's why I wanted to stamp on the other side. Now I didn't like that this 5 wasn't too black, so I stamped on top of it with no fear at all. Don't worry, this is the background. I know that splatters are not the cup of tea for everyone, but I absolutely love them. I feel like they kind of bring all the elements together. And I'm going to do the splattering with black at this stage. So I'm just using a little blob of black acrylic paint. I'm going to dilute it with water. And if you feel like that you cannot control your splattering and you end up with big blobs, look, I do a little bit of tapping outside of the project first. And you can see here how the background looks. I'm absolutely happy with how it is looking at the moment. I'm going to clean up my surface and start working on the focal point. I just need to stick something on top to finish off the page. So for me, the easiest way is to bring those ephemera collage books. These are by my friend Marta and she has a huge collection of them. You will find them linked down below. This one is packed with lots of kids, boys and girls, that I find that they are amazing. Look how gorgeous this one is. I am debating, I don't know at this stage which one I want to use. And another thing that I absolutely love for art journals are mushrooms. Don't ask me why, for some reason I absolutely love them. And I like putting little people on top of mushrooms. And that's exactly what I'm finally going to do here. So I decided to go with this mushroom here. I'm going to cut out this, fuzzy cut it. I'm also going to fuzzy cut the leaves and you don't have to cut it out perfectly. You can just tear it off and stick it down really. And I am going to show you a little trick here. Instead of just using the fuzzy cut mushroom, I'm going to make my page look more interesting by using some of the background pieces that I'm cutting out here. So by the magic of video editing, you see I have all the elements ready to go. And at this stage, I couldn't decide which of the boys or girls I wanted to use. So what I like to do is to again work in steps. So let's create the background with the mushroom and then decide which boy or girl is going to fit nicely there. So I'm starting by sticking down all those little background pieces that I cut out. For some of them, I'm just going to stick them as they are. For others, I'm just going to tear them off to have a rough edge. And for the pieces that I go over the spine, I like to cut them out. This is going to make sure that they are going to stay put. And you can see I just go ahead and stick randomly those pieces. I think that it makes the background look more interesting. Plus the color matches with that copper that I have underneath. And by the way, I stick everything down with rice paper glue. I find that this is my favorite and I absolutely love it, not only because it is great and kind of liquid, very easy to apply with my brush. It doesn't smell at all, and the best part about it is that it dries completely matte. You cannot tell where you have applied it. So that's my favorite glue for collage. Anyway, once I have everything down, I'm going to stick the mushroom as well. And notice that for the mushroom, not only I apply the glue underneath, I'm going to use the glue to seal the mushroom on top as well. That's because I'm planning to do some shading with my big brush markers later on. And one more thing that I can say about this glue is that when you apply it, for example here when I seal everything down, you see that it looks kind of white and milky. Don't worry at all about it, it's going to dry completely clear. And again I grabbed my blending tool to do some inking, since I did stick some pieces that go all the way to the edge, so that everything is nice and consistent. Look how beautiful it looks. Now all I need to do is to find the little kit that fits here. So as I was browsing, I realized that on the first page there is a little kit that is actually sitting on top of a little log or whatever that is. So I'm just going to separate him and fuzzy cut him, and I think that it's going to fit perfectly on top of my mushroom. So with the magic again of video editing, here he is ready to go on top of my mushroom. So I'm going to place him there, and again I'm going over it with my rice paper glue so that I can do the shading later on. I made sure that this is completely dry, no wet rice paper glue whatsoever anywhere, before I touch my page with my markers. So these are my big brush markers that I keep on using again and again, and I like doing this technique because it kind of enhances the colors. You will see that I'm going to bring those leaves into life. As I started, they were kind of muted, but I like the colors to be nice and bright, so I'm starting by touching the leaves with the lighter shade of green and smudging it. Here I'm using the darker shade of green, only the base of its leaf, smudging it again. And I do the smudging because it gives me soft shadows. It kind of helps that color blend nicely. So I'm going to move on to do a little bit of brown, which is going to again make that mushroom come to life. Finally, I'm going to add a little bit of light blue for the mushroom. I like that the mushroom isn't red on this page. I think it makes it more unique. And really this technique is so much fun, sometimes I don't know when to stop, but in any case I didn't touch the boy too much because I find that it was quite saturated compared with the mushroom. So I'm super happy with how that looks. I'm going to move on and do some doodling with a black marker. I always say it, I'm going to say it one more time, I don't outline everything perfectly. I just do sketchy lines here and there, mainly where I feel that I need some shadow, and that sketchy black line helps those elements pop against each other. And here I'm using my white gel pen and I'm going to add some highlights here and there. Again, completely randomly, just helping that image come together by having the same details all over, and at the same time it gives that whimsical look that I absolutely love. Now, having said that, as I am showing you all the steps that I do and explaining what I'm doing, it doesn't mean that you have to do what I am doing. I get a lot of questions about why did I do that, or what is the next step for that. All I can say is that just have fun, play with the mediums that you have, play with the products that you have. There are no rules in art journaling, or maybe I can find one rule for you. So let's say that the only rule in art journaling is to have fun. Don't worry about the steps, just enjoy the process, and the more pages you create, the more you will find your own style and everything will come together nicely and you will love what you create. So back to the page, all I did was a little bit of stamping on top of those little background ephemera pieces so that I can bring everything together. I even did some stamping over the mushroom, if you can see, again bringing all the details together by using the same stamping. And finally here I'm doing some white splattering. You can do that with gesso diluted with water, with acrylic paint. I used white calligraphy ink here. And finally, all that's left to do for me is to add a quote. I always love to add quotes. I did use my alphabet die to cut out the letters, and I'm going with Dream Big. After sticking everything down, I'm using my white gel pen and I'm going to add some highlights here and there, and I'm going to call this project done. So here are some close-up photos where you can see the project and some details better. Everything I used can be found linked down below in the description. I hope that you had fun, that you got inspired, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching.